I, Jonathan Reagan, the uncommon voice for the common man, coming to you today live from Shadyside, Ohio, where I want to send a special shout to the brave men and women of the United States military, 26,000 strong in the Korean Peninsula. I'm thinking of you right now. This emergency tirade is directed right at the commander-in-chief of the strongest military on the face of the planet. That's right, His Mightiness, Barack Obama, Big Daddy O. Now, we were told by his vice president the other day that the reason that people like me don't understand people like him is that he's, quote, intellectual and brilliant. Well, Mr. Brilliant, it appears that you have a problem on your hands with the North Koreans. Today we see yet another provocative, open aggression act by the damn North Koreans and the shelling of a South Korean island, causing the death of 2 South Korean Marines. It wasn't that long ago that we saw a South Korean naval vessel torpedoed by a North Korean submarine, causing the loss of lives of hundreds of South Korean sailors. And what was your response? The same thing as your response today. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You are in Kokomo in a Chrysler plant right now, touring a plant when you may have a very, very serious international problem on your hands. And your response to it is that, quote, it appears that the North Koreans are not living up to their treaty obligations, end quote. Yeah, that's quite possibly true, but it's not like we haven't seen this before. The last time we had a liberal Democrat as president, that would be William Jefferson Davis Clinton. The world was aghast when it appeared that the North Koreans were going to develop nuclear weapons. And what did William Jefferson Davis Clinton do? He sent his Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, to negotiate a treaty with the North Koreans. And that's right. And part of that treaty negotiations, Kim Jong-il, the tin-horn dictator, managed to get autographed Michael Jordan basketball. And lo and behold, they did get their treaty. It was signed. The North Koreans said they wouldn't build nuclear weapons. They clinked the glasses. Done deal. 5 years later, there's a nuclear explosion. And it appears that the North Koreans do have nuclear weapons. And lo and behold, they have to call Madeleine Albright on Meet the Press and say, what the hell happened? And then she says, quote, it appears that the North Koreans did not live up to their treaty obligations, end quote. Sound familiar? Well, I got news for you, Mr. Brilliant. You better do something about the North Koreans before this situation gets out of hand. What's called for here is a show of force, a measured response to the aggression of the North Koreans. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to turn their country into a pane of glass, but by God, you ought to do something to give them the idea that we are tired of being pushed around by these people. You are busy feeling up the American citizens as if they're criminals when they try to board a jetliner, but some guy, a dictator, shells a South Korean island in open act of aggression, and you do nothing. Well, I got some news for you. These treaties that you negotiate with the North Koreans are not worth the paper they're printed on. And remember, I'm the dummy. Now, you better get this situation under control before it escalates into something that we can't control. And all you need to do is what this man did. You know what he did after the bombing of the Beirut embassy that killed our Marines? He sent the FB-111s into Tripoli and took out his palace. And guess what? You didn't hear a word from him for years after that. In fact, the next time we heard from him was when George Bush sent the troops into Iraq, and lo and behold, Muammar Gaddafi, their dictator, wanted better relations with the United States. Sense a pattern here, too. So you need to get on the stick, Mr. Commander-in-Chief, and get this situation resolved right now, and do it with the assets that you have in our brave military, and put an end to this North Korean menace once and for all. Until then, this is your favorite Islamophobiac, Jonathan Reagan, the uncommon voice of the common man, saying to this now. Now, when news breaks out, my tirades break in. Until next time, over and out.